everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daryl Talks podcast. Today, we've got a first. The Daryl Talks podcast is branching out. I've got my first episode with somebody that I haven't had the privilege of meeting yet. This episode is going to definitely brighten up your day. It is a success story. I feel so privileged to be able to share their story. So please welcome Charlie.
Hello.
As per every episode, we are going to start off with some icebreaker questions. So first question is, if you were to attend a dinner party with 3 people, dead or alive, who would they be? Celebrities.
Crikey. Only 3. So it's just a candlelit supper then. It's not a room full of people like William would normally want.
No.
I suppose spare time, love books. I'm very creative, love anything to do with the arts. I would have to pick a writer. I'm potty about Alice in Wonderland. So Lewis Carroll, or Charles Dodgson, as he's known.
But what would you want to ask him?
Oh, have you read his stories?
Yeah.
He lives in this most magical world. I love people that have really creative imaginations. And I think, when you can sit and read a book and you get lost in their world, they've got such a skill at doing this. Just being surrounded by all that creativity and understanding how they sort of came up with those ideas, those characters, every little minute detail. I'm a real detail girl. So I love the books because you always get a little bit of extra detail as opposed to movies. I suppose putting forward to someone like J.K. Rowling with their Harry Potter, the success she's got, you read the books and it's a totally different experience to watching the movies. So she could possibly be another one. Or my other thing, I really, really like Agatha Christie.
Agatha Christie. Classic.
Love Agatha. I'm a major, major Agatha fan. And I suppose, I don't know. If I had to pick one, maybe Agatha, because she disappeared for a while and I want to know why. It's never been answered in my head.
No way.
She disappeared intentionally. You ever feel like you just want to escape for a bit? And I thought, I wonder why. How did she do it?
Yeah.
But obviously, I suppose back then it was a little simpler to do it. Now you have trackers on phones. And so I suppose, if that was a writer, and then I definitely need a musician there. Love music. Being an ex-dancer, absolutely adore music. But that is absolutely, who do you choose? I mean, my playlist is so varied. I like different types of things depending on what mood I'm in.
I'm so similar.
So do you have a bit of Freddie? Queen. Oh, amazing.
He's on my list.
Queen, I think Freddie would definitely be on the list. Oh, mind you, Elton John. Love him as well.
He's also on my list.
Oh, this is scary. Are you sure we've not met?
I know,
right?
That is so weird.
That is really, really strange, isn't it? Or you would have... who else can I think of? If Will was at the party, I'd have to invite Elvis because he's crazy about Elvis. And then artist, do I go old on you? I think, do you know what? The one that really intrigues me, and I have a billion questions to ask him, will be Banksy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
that's
Banksy,
such a good one.
Either Agatha Christie, Lewis Carroll, and probably Freddie or Elton.
That is a fantastic list.
I could put all the invites out and see who accepted.
No, that is incredible. And actually, the point that you said about reading a book, totally understand that. And
it's just getting lost, I think, in those magical places.
I love the mixture of reality with fantasy. So for somebody to be able to paint a picture where there is so many elements that could be true. That's what really gets me. And not knowing what's fact and what's fiction is amazing to me because I can just get lost in it. Second question then. If you were to get lost on an island, what 3 things would you take?
I think will probably be my sketch pad and a pencil and probably a book.
But what book would it be?
It'd have to be the complete works of Lewis Carroll, wouldn't it?
Well done, you found a loophole there.
Have to do that. That's it. I can go back to that. Yeah, I think I would need something that I could get lost in. And if it wasn't too rainy, and it was really rainy, an umbrella, I suppose. I hate getting wet. Absolutely hate getting wet.
That's
like a cat.
We found your spirit animal.
That's it.
I don't even
Definitely
need to ask that as an icebreaker question. So third and final question. What is a completely mundane thing that you absolutely love to do?
Do you know what? I'm a really simple sort of person. There's a lot of mundane, I think. I wouldn't say that I'm extraordinary in anything way, shape or form. And it's the little things that I really, really like. Like I say, I don't like getting wet. I love having the windows open when it's raining. I love listening to the rain. Love water.
Let's get into it. First question is, who are you, Charlie?
I am probably, to my friends, Charlie, just, the creative little butterfly that can't sit still, always been like that. Can imagine 20 different things that are impossible before breakfast and will have made a list and tried to get all 20 of them done before I go rest my head on my pillow. That's who I am as a person. But in business, I am actually one of the founders of a teddy bear company called Charlie Bear, a teddy bear designer.
A teddy bear designer.
I know.
Before we get into that, because that is the current you, where did it all begin? What did you start with?
I was very creative at school. Probably a little bit of a chatterbox. I always remember the school reports coming home after parents' evening and being slightly apprehensive. I have really, really, really supportive parents, and both, luckily, are also quite creative. A sister and a brother as well, who also are self-employed and very creative. So we're quite a creative family. We always found wonder, I suppose, in very little things. We didn't have lots of money when we were little, but I never felt that was important, never missed it. We were really lucky that we had parents that could find wonder in just about everything we did, whether it was bluebell picking, collecting leaves, creating collages, making things. They always kept us really, really, really entertained like that, which is why I believe that as a whole family, we're really, really creative. We didn't have that toy that everybody wanted, and we didn't have, things like that, but we never missed out. I think what we lacked for, I suppose, in that situation, we gained in some other ways, which is why we enjoyed colouring, doodling, drawing, sketching, reading, putting on shows for mum and dad and things like that. It was always something that I think back now, it's absolutely why I'm like I am. Same with my sister and my brother too. Yeah, that was kind of the beginning. I was a little funny for Nakapan, as mum and dad would call me. I danced in my pants. And I used to go to school, and although I loved school, I wasn't particularly clever at school. I would have said I was probably quite mainstream. I had to work really, really hard on the subjects that I suppose I wasn't very passionate about.
No, so the maths,
to
the
try and get the
science,
grades.
all the what I would class as logical stuff,
Absolutely. I knew that I wanted to do something creative at the time. I sort of ballet danced from being very young, which was wonderful. Absolutely loved it. Had a real passion for music, loved dance and movement and that freedom that it brought. So I always wanted to be a dancer. So whenever I had my careers, it was like, well, Charlie's done all right. She's got her C, but she'd probably be better in a role of, I was never going to be a nurse or a vet or a lawyer or a doctor or anything like that. But I had my own little skill set, where I could sort of walk into the room and find wonder anywhere, meet really interesting people. And I like just being me. Little eccentric, but...
I was having this discussion with somebody the other day. What people would class as weird at school, when you grow up, you are the most amazing people and the most interesting people in a room. Yeah. You don't have to be the loudest, but you are always the most interesting people in the room.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it is. It's very nature, nurture. There's always that big question, isn't there? And I think, like I said, I've been so privileged in that throughout my whole life, I've been surrounded by people that have been uber supportive, and I suppose accepted me for who I am.
Did you continue?
I did with the ballet.
Ballet, yeah.
I know. So ballet was my love. It was absolutely my love, and started off at a little dance school up in Leeds and Headingley, and went through all of the usual, starting at baby class, doing the good toes, naughty toes, and then working my way up through all of the grades and getting all of my exams and passing them, and really, really enjoyed it. And then one summer, Mum and Dad had this huge surprise for me, and they sent me off during the 6-week holiday to go to a ballet school where I could spend most of my 6-week holiday from school learning how to dance. And we had lots of guest famous ballet dancers that came to give you lessons and tutorials and things like that. So I was very, very lucky, and Dad sort of took time off work and drove me there every day and picked me up again. Yeah, while I was there, we got to dance with some just most amazing choreographers and ballet teachers. One of them was Dame Alicia Markova, and she was just incredible, and had always been like a big icon to me. So I was glued. I was probably more interested in what she was telling me than what I was actually doing at that point. But absolutely loved it. And while I was there, I was really, really fortunate in that I got spotted, and somebody had said to me, look, you're quite good at this, and I'd be really interested in sort of sponsoring you if you wanted to go for one of the major ballet schools. And at the time I thought, I don't think I'm that good. And she says, look, we'll get it all set up. We'll get you some auditions and we'll try. And I auditioned for one of the London ballet schools and was absolutely gobsmacked when I got a place. And, mum and dad up in Yorkshire, I had to move down to London. I moved down when I was almost 16, finished school while I was down there. So I did the school and the dance and stayed down there. And like I say, I was very lucky in that I had somebody who sponsored me to go, extremely expensive to go, it was sort of things, sort of dreams are built of, you go down there, and I thought, oh, crikey, am I ever going to be able to do this? But I was so lucky, and that, like I say, I had wonderful supportive people around me who helped me emotionally and financially.
I was going to say, how was that? Because being 16, there's a lot of things going on.
So many things going on.
There's...
Yeah, I kind of lived in a YWCA on Great Portland Street, and, that the house was full of all of these weird and wonderful creative people. Now, when I think back, I think, oh, crikey, how did I dare do that? I'd never left Leeds, and to move down, I always remember Dad dropping me off in the car, and he said to me, right, you're going to be all right, aren't you? And I got my little food parcel that Mum and Dad had got for me, and they left me there, and I think I was all right for like the first couple of hours, and then all of a sudden it sort of hit me. And I thought, oh, crikey, I don't know anybody. I've moved down here. I've never been to London before, except for the audition. It was a big thing. And I grew up quite quickly. Well, I had to.
I was going to say,
you have to grow up really, really quickly when you're living alone in London in a YWCA. Yeah, it sort of helped mould me, I suppose. And it was my first time when I think, I kind of sat there and thought, you can do this. You can do it. You've got to stop believing in yourself. You can do this. And I think that was always a premise. It was something then that has really paved a way in the way that my life's been.
And that's so different, because you think how many times people are saying you can't do this, that inner monologue.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And I think that's
at that
thing.
age.
Yeah, I think if you believing in something, someone, or more so yourself, is probably the best thing that can happen to you.
Where do you think that came from? Do you think that came from your parents?
Yeah, I do, absolutely. It's just they're believers. It was well, let's try. What do you mean no? Of course we can, let's just give it a go. Those kind of things that would happen, never pushy or anything like that. They were, like I said, uber supportive. So, why don't you just try it and see? But
you hear all these horrible stories about pushy parents.
Oh, yeah. And I witnessed.
Were you part of that world?
I definitely.
Like you saw that world?
Yeah, I never really understood it. I always used to think, why are they doing this? It's just, you've got to want to do it. I think you're always good at something that you're very, very passionate about. If you don't have that passion, you're lacking something. You're never going to excel at that. So I think, I'm a huge believer in, however you live your life, if you're passionate about something, it's always going to be your favourite thing to do.
So you went to London. Like, where did it go from there?
So obviously, a few years in London, and was doing really, really well. Really enjoyed the ballet school. Was performing at different theatres around London and stuff like that. So I got lots of experience. Also had to do some nighttime jobs so that I could pay for the old ballet shoes and things like that. So again, that was quite interesting. Did all sorts of different jobs, from sort of working in McDonald's to working in a shoe shop to. So I had one day off a week. I just used to go around sort of touting myself out just to find a job that paid me the most amount of money so that, I could stay down there. The scholarship only gave me so much. And I remember being down there and thinking, right, I need to go back, not seeing Mum and Dad a lot, bless them, really hard-working parents. Mum had 2 or 3 jobs, Dad worked really, really long hours. So couldn't come down to come and see me. So I decided that I was going to go back and have a bit of a break. And I always remember getting really, really giddy, really, really excited about going back. It's the first time, I'd not seen mum and dad or my sister, brother for months. So, decided I was going to go back up there. And actually, as fate would have it, that night, I got to King's Cross and I started going up the escalator towards the ticket office. And all of a sudden, there was just a great, huge, massive ball of fire. And what I later obviously understood was that I just literally put myself slap bang into the middle of the King's Cross fire disaster, and it was just awful. It was awful. So yeah, I had lots of hours of being stuck in the station. I was lucky that I had a guard who could see I was struggling. I was only tiny. Like I said, I was probably about 5.5 stone
Oh my
at the
Lord.
time, ballet dancing and, dinky little thing, and just didn't know what to do. I sort of froze. You never know how you're going to act, when you find yourself in a situation that you're not expecting to be in.
Absolutely.
And obviously it was quite devastating what had happened. Lots of bad memories from it. I can still see the fire and people getting hurt, and I got quite a lot of smoke inhalation from it, and I'd also burnt my hair, and there was all sorts of things that sort of happened afterwards that I was just oh crikey, how did that work? I was really lucky in that, like I said, there was a guard I always remember, and I wish I could see him now because I can never thank him enough, because he absolutely did save my life without a shadow of a doubt. He picked me up and threw me on a tube. Literally.
No way.
Yeah. And I remember I got this bag, I dropped my bag, and of course, no time to go back for your bag, and sort of sat there not knowing what to do, and didn't have any money, and just didn't know, what I was going to do. And there was 2 chaps, they were both driving instructors from Yorkshire, who saw me sat on the pavement, absolutely in floods of tears, and came over to check I was all right, because obviously I looked like I'd been in fire and probably smelled like I'd been in fire.
Yeah.
And they said, where do you live? What's wrong? And I explained what had happened, and that I was trying to get back to see my parents. And they said, look, we're going up to Leeds. So they bought me a train ticket and put me on the train and got me back to Leeds, where helped me make a phone call to ring my parents, so that when I got back up to Leeds, mum and dad were waiting for me at the station. So yeah, it was a really, really big thing. A shock, an absolutely major shock. It was just awful. So I ended up having to go into hospital for a little bit after that. And yeah, it was devastating, and sort of so many different levels. I think for my family as well. It was a big shock.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, it really, really was. But then I'd missed, because of the hospital and my confidence and being scared about moving back down and things like that, I kind of missed so much time at ballet school that I would have had to have gone back down and started again and carried on where I was. But I wasn't medically able to do it. They sort of said to me afterwards, well, look, I don't think that you're going to be able to do dancing for a living. You might be able to teach a bit, but I don't think you'll ever be a performer. And that just absolutely broke my heart. I was devastated. It was all I ever wanted to do.
What was it that...
So I think it was just a lot of smoke inhalation.
So
lungs,
it was like the
heart
lungs
problems,
and heart. Oh my
things
Lord.
like that. So because I just, there was all sorts of things that had happened that obviously spooked me and scared me, and it was awful. So yeah, at the time, it was like my whole world had been turned inside out and back to front, because I kind of sat there and thought, oh, hold on a minute, this is what I was going to do, and I'm not very good at anything else. And that's what I was going to do. And now I'm being told that it's probably better that I don't do that. And I kind of hit this crossroads in my life, which I think everybody does, whether you realise you're at crossroads.
I was just about to say that. I wonder, everybody at some point has probably felt like that. Maybe not on such an extreme level, but everybody will be able to see.
It is. I think these things are just sent to test us, aren't they? I always think they're character building. You've got to look on it. You can either wilt and fade and become a victim to that, or you can overcome that and think, right, I've now got an inner strength to overcome that and try something different.
I think it's so easy for something as sad as that to happen that it can absorb you.
I remember spending months afterwards thinking, what am I going to do? What do I actually like doing? I like selling things. I've always been chatty. So that was fine. That was a possibility. Didn't mind working in the shoe shop or McDonald's and things like that, talking to people. And I thought, the other love in my life was obviously teddy bears. And I decided then that I was going to probably try and go self-employed. And start making things and going to this little local craft market. And I used to go there with mum and dad. Like I say, really creative family. So I would help mum there, and then I kind of got mum and dad involved, and then we started making little teddy bear pictures, and then that went into start, real love of bears, where I thought, right, I can't physically make loads of bears to sell because you just can't do that, they're so time consuming. But I thought, right, well, I'll start buying other brands of bears, and I kind of became the teddy bear lady in Leeds. Then we had one at Granary Wharf, which was underneath Leeds railway station. We had one at the White Rose Shopping Centre and one on Horsforth Town Street, and it was just all things bear. It was called Bear and Me, because I just thought it was a really nice little personal sort of, it's Bear and Me.
It's just so sweet.
And it was really, really lovely. And I would have said there were some of the happiest times, being able to, one, work with my parents, because we've all got similar sort of mindsets.
Well,
and
yeah.
get on really well. So, yeah, I was very, very lucky to be able to do that. I loved bears. Absolutely loved bears, the way they looked, the way they felt, the fabrics they used. Really, really, really intrigued by all of these different looks and styles. And they were just, I suppose it's going back to my whimsy world, as I call it. Can
you remember, like, the first bear you were given? Or, like...
I had a little panda.
A little panda?
I had a panda and my sister had a polar bear. And, it's funny, there's so many stories. I mean, it's not scientifically proven, but, we are all animals, and you imprint. And I think you always imprint on your first toy. Friends who all collected bears, and I always say to them, did you have a bear or an animal when you was little? I had an elephant. Love elephants. I love pandas, and it's absolutely got something to do. I swear by it that it was my first bear was a little panda. My sister loves polar bears. Like I said, her first bear was a polar bear. So I think there is something in that.
My sister was Bambi, the Disney Bambi. Yeah. And she
probably still loves Disney now.
Yeah,
and Bambi.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was the other thing. I just thought, I remember getting my first little bear when I was little and just being completely and utterly mesmerised by it. It was my new little thing. There's lots of things that it's funny now, relatable now, owning a bear company and listening to other collectors coming in and telling me about their experience and how bear helps them on their journey. And if you just sort of told me then what I know now, I'd have gone, really? But I've lived it myself. So, I know it was my guardian, my keeper of secrets. It was my constant companion. It was the one thing that was my constant and remains to this day, something to do with bears, and I think that's where really all the passion came from.
Do you think because of that episode that you went, that was so traumatic,
yeah.
I hope you don't mind me saying that took you back to something that you knew was safe,
yeah,
that had your back through everything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think without a shadow of a doubt, these things, I talk about serendipity a lot. When we had our initial chat, I talk about happenstance and things like that. And I think, to a degree, you do create your own luck in life, or you choose the path that you're going to go on. But sometimes I do feel that there is probably another little force field around you somewhere that's guiding you in those directions, and it's whether you can recognise that or you have the strength or the confidence to follow that path. So always go where your heart leads you, not where your mind tells you to go. And I think that's probably one of the things that has stuck with me and remained true. And I think I'm absolutely certain that all of the choices that I've made in life, I've said 9 out of 10 have been led by the heart and worked and put me in the place where I later realised I needed to be, as opposed to my head, which was the logical reason of, well, you should really go and work in a bank, or you should really go and, try and go to secretarial college or something, Oh, my word, I'd have been so bored, I'd have just been bored. That's something else that I really, really enjoy doing, is trying to inspire kiddies, that just telling them that you don't have to be really, really clever. You need to be passionate about something, and you need to stick to your plan, and you need to do what you're going to do. But there's always a little bit of help somewhere. If you're meant to go in that direction, it's going to happen.
There's something about the innocence and that anything is possible.
It's their imagination. It's completely crazy.
Yeah.
I have the best conversations with children. I seriously do. If I ever need a little bit of inspiration for a new character for the bears, or something that we're going to put into the portfolio for the following year, something new I want in the collection, I just take myself upstairs into our teddy bear museum, and I go and find myself children and ask them. And the things that they come out with, the drawings I get, the explanations behind it, the stories that they've dreamt up,
It is incredible.
It is incredible.
So you had these 3 shops.
We did indeed, yeah, and loved every minute of it. And again, it's sort of crossroads. Things happen for a reason, don't they? And we've been doing it quite a while, Mum, Dad and myself. And then sadly, Mum was given the devastating news that she got cancer. And obviously, it's a family-run business. We didn't really and couldn't really keep up with it because we can't run 3 shops. And Mum was in one, Dad was in another, I was in another. So we kind of narrowed it down to one, and then I eventually closed the bear shops. But it was something that really, really stuck with me because it was something that I absolutely loved. I mean, obviously, my passion for bears never left. And the other good thing was that just before we closed, I'd actually met my husband, Will. We met through bears. So again, this was
No way.
This was another little magical thing. I talk about serendipity. Yeah. So yeah, I met Will. He came into one of my shops and bought a bear for his mum. She wasn't very well at the time, and he came in to buy her a bear. And then the next day, he came in again and bought another bear. And I think really knowing him as I know him now, and he admits it, he was just plucking up the courage to ask me out on a date. And he felt that he had to come in and buy a bear because he chats a lot, but he's not very good at he's just really shy. Although he's got a huge personality.
That is so sweet.
He's so shy, especially around me. He was really, really shy. That was nice. And we kind of, once we'd met and he bought a bear and we'd gone out on the first date, that was kind of it. We've never left each other's side. And again, lucky because, he's really supportive. I mean, who else do you go to and go, right, I've made up my mind, I'm fed up, I want to work with the bears again, I don't own my bear shops anymore, I'm working at all sorts of different jobs, none of which I'm extremely happy with. I hate banking and I didn't want to work in the estate agents and I don't want to do agency work, I want to do this, so we're going to have to sell everything we own and I want to start my own bear business. Most people would go, Will went, okay, darling, when do you want to do this? And that was it.
That's mad.
Yeah, crazy. And again, lucky that I met somebody that could see that I was passionate about it and, sort of facilitated my dream. That's the way I can put it. He's my dream maker.
Yeah.
He's the person that absolutely made all my dreams come true.
I'm literally like welling up here.
Oh.
This is a first.
It's true though, and it's nice. And I've got to, there's loads of people go, oh, good Charlie, she's done so well. She owns Charlie Bears. I couldn't have done it without him. Absolutely not. No.
So you're like a power couple, dream team.
That's it. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's definitely yin to my yang. Or the way we met and the way that happened, and my love for bears. Obviously, Will didn't really know much about bears other than he had a mum who collected bears, so he was aware of bear collecting and how addictive it is and things like that. And he used to always say to me, why this bear and why that bear? And why does that cost so much? And I'm not so sure about that one. And, so he learned really, really quickly. Ex-rugby player. It's me turning around and going, right, we're starting our own bear business, Will. And guess what? You're not allowed to play rugby anymore because I need you to go on TV.
He just brightens up a room.
He does. When he's walked in, he's there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's larger than life and he's just...
That's
he properly does light up the room. I don't think you can describe it any better, when he's there. He's just full of fun. He sees all the good things. He's always been a guy whose glass is half full. It's not half empty, and that's great. He's that kind of character. He brings everybody up. Once you've met him, you'll always remember him.
Oh, without a doubt. So you mentioned that you got back to this, you had this moment where you just went to him and just unleashed.
That was it. I'm bored, I can't do this anymore, I'm feeling down, I'm not me. I said, can we please do this thing? And he's saying, what's that? I said, I'd really like to open up my own bear company. I'd had endless streams of people walk in and out of the shop doors, and walk out sometimes with nothing. They walked into my, I tried so hard to get them through the door, to come into my little bear shop, to come and have a look and hopefully buy something. It was my living. I needed them to buy something. And they would walk in and say, oh my God, I love this. And then you turn the price ticket over and go, how much? And that was always the reason why they didn't. Like I said, I was buying so many different brands out there, and the bears that people seem to be attracted to were the ones that were kind of highly sought after, collectible, but also with that came this hefty price tag. And I always used to say there's a gap. There's a gap in the market, definitely. there's a gap in the market between what I call toy, teddy, and collectible bear. So if we could get this affordable collectible bear at a very reasonable price, it would really help so many people in the world, because bear collecting is addictive. So, if you walk into a bear shop back then and you had your favourite bear that chose you, because that happens too, bears choose you, cost £200. It really was a considered purchase. I mean, I'm going back, 30 odd years. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think, well, why can't I make that bear 30 quid? Because if I could do that, I could get the teddy bear industry back up and running and introduce it to more people. And I don't want it to go anywhere, because it's such a lovely little industry. And, we need to do something that's just going to ignite everybody's passion about bear collecting again. I had it, and I could see everybody that used to walk in the shop. And, you'd be surprised at how many people bear collect, male and female.
What is it called again?
You're an actophile.
Arctophile.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
for
it.
Bear collector.
Yeah.
But, do you know what? And everybody, without exception, that I've met that's a bear collector is just the softest, kindest, warmest person.
And actually,
you're ever gonna meet.
One of the ways to describe Will would be a big teddy bear, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I call him lion-hearted.
Oh.
Yeah, he's lion-hearted for sure. And he does love bears. I think he loves bears probably more now because he knows that I really, really love bears. And actually, I'm sat here next to one of Will's little favourites, a little green mouse that we created called Big Cheese. He named him because he said he's just like, he loved it. He's got this fat little tummy because he's eaten too much cheese. And Will just loves it. So he even has a bear on his desk now.
So you met Will. How long was it until you had this?
Well, it was funny. There was a couple of years. We got together, obviously, got married. We closed the bear shops. And at the time, we'd moved to a little village up in Yorkshire called Baildon. And I'd gone out into the town and thought, right, I'm going to need to do something. Newlywed, we need to, need some money coming in. So I went to go and work for an estate agent's just in the village. And I was there for quite a while. And I remember going Christmas shopping. Mum likes bears too. So I said to her, come on, we'll go down to the teddy bear shop in Leeds and I'll buy Mum a bear and you can buy your mum a bear for Christmas. And we do that. And we walked into this shop and I walked out again. I said, I can't find anything that I like it's still the same old thing. The ones that are really, really gorgeous. There's that great big, and it was so obvious to both of us, but especially me having been surrounded by bears all the time, that I just thought, there's this huge gap. And we kept looking at each other going, we need to fill this gap, but how do we do it? How do we do it? So anyway, we then started, I was working at the estate agents, obviously Will was full-time as well, both really working 5-6 day weeks, and so we don't have an awful lot of time, but we're going to start researching. So it was about another 18 months after that we said, right, we're ready, what are we going to do? I said, right, we need to find out, first of all, where we can make the bears. We need to come up with all the different designs. I know what kind of looks we want. But, I'm not a famous artist. I need to try and find somebody who has, awards in the industry to help us create these and do it. That's where it all kind of embarked. We literally saved up and travelled around and went to different trade shows, different countries, flew out to America, which is where I met Isabel, who now works for, obviously, Charlie Bears. And it was just the most amazing time because I found a factory that absolutely knew what I was talking about and what I wanted to create. And again, really supportive. We were like two peas in a pod. It was complete happenstance that we met. And we just started working together and never looked back. It was just, we both thought the same. She knew what my goal was. I knew what her goal was. And we kind of sat there and I thought, wow, I've got this most amazing, inspirational woman who is heading up, head of design in a factory that completely gets what I'm trying to do. Why wouldn't I buddy up with her and why wouldn't we do this? And we both again said, well, let's try it. What's the worst that could happen? She needed help. She wanted to build a factory up. She wanted to do all of this. And I thought, right, well, I can help you like that and you can help me like this. And it was just like a match made in heaven. And we started and to this day we're still together and she still makes all of the bears for us now. And it's just, I can't even begin to tell you how somebody up there put us together.
See, and one thing you hit on, which is come up in a previous episode, and I believe is an outstanding business attitude to have, is not saying we can do better, it's saying that we can do it different.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there is a better. I think everybody and anybody can read a book, watch a movie, stare at a painting or whatever, and all see it in a very different way. It's very subjective. You love the Golden Compass book. I love Lewis Carroll book. It doesn't mean that I don't like the Golden Compass.
Yeah, of course.
I see it and I understand it, but my heart just lies somewhere else with it. So
resonates in a different way. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, like you say, the way you furnish your home, the colours you wear, the clothes you choose, the sneakers you buy. You know, there's all these different things. So, yeah, to actually find somebody that was on the same wavelength and it was never about the money, it was about creating a legacy. And I think that was the thing. The stress element of it had been taken away because I never set out to make loads and loads and loads of money. I set out to try and bring something new into the world that people loved. And like I said, I wanted to encourage the next generation of bear collectors. I wanted to create this legacy where people would at some point turn around and go, well, she was a funny old bean, but she definitely knew about her bears, you know?
Absolutely.
It was that. So it was about making sure that there was something that was going to follow on long after I've gone. That's what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that there's something out there that my nieces or my niece's kids or their grandkids can turn around and go, oh, Charlie did that, Uncle Will did that.
You've done that tenfold.
You know, it's just, that was the thing. And I think Isabel was the same. So that's what it was about. When you start taking the stress out of it, of having to do this, of course it's a business. You have to have money to run it. You have to do all that. This is where Will comes in. He just manages all the purse strings. And he was like, right, we can't do that, Charlie, because you'd be selling it for less than what we paid for it. So he was like, right, come on, I'll do this side of it for you. So obviously we started off, met Isabel, started this collaboration.
And was this in America, sorry?
I met her at an American trade show, but she's actually a Korean bear artist and she lives in Thailand. So I went to Thailand, visited the factory, tried to have them all manufactured in England, but it just wasn't the same. Couldn't meet anybody, marry up a relationship with anybody that really had that same passion that I had, or the skill set to do it, because, you know, I'm very particular, very pernickety person, little details. Doesn't matter whether I'm reading. So
how many people, just sort of ballpark, how many people do you think you met before you found the one?
It's too many to count.
Really?
You know, you would sit there and I think, oh yeah, there might be good. That no. Oh, that looks promising.
There always something.
There was always something.
Yeah.
And I tried so hard to try and get everything manufactured in the UK. I wanted to be a UK brand. I wanted to, you know, all your things that you aspire to be when you start up. It would be so nice. We could do this. And I tried so many different places and I just couldn't get that look that I wanted. It was in my head and it was fixed. And I knew I was so fierce about the look that I wanted and what I wanted to create, and I wanted an affordable collectible, and it had to be the best quality, and we had to use the finest fabrics we could, and you know, it was having our look, the look of it being something different. You know, it's like art in soft sculpture. So the same with an artist. You know, you can tell the difference between different artists just by looking at their paintings and going, oh yeah, that's a Matisse. Oh, that's definitely a Monet. You know, and you can look at all these things and recognise it. And it's the same with anything that you create. It's got a look. And I knew what kind of look I wanted. I call it my Who Me look. So, you know, we always add little eye whites under the eyes. So every single little Charlie bear has got its own little personality. They're all handmade. We've got this really lovely feel around it. But you need people who are extremely skilled in that industry to be able to create that kind of look. And Isabel had it in bagfuls and understood what it was that I wanted. So it was really, really easy for us to sit there and sort of design stuff and go, oh, wouldn't that look cool if we did it out in blue? And, oh, we need to add this bit. And the ears need to be slightly higher in the head. Or, you know, we say, if we just pull the eyes in a little bit more, it's going to make it look really sullen and, you know, sad. And, you know, we tried so many different things and we just clicked. We were like a piece of Lego.
Because one of my questions was it was always going to be, did you try having it manufactured in the UK?
Yes, we did.
But I don't think you could answer that question any better.
There was no help either. You know, we tried every kind of government scheme, every kind of course that you can go on, every department that I could find, to help us do it. We're a startup company. I want to be able to do this. We need to be helped as much as you can, especially when you are starting up. And let's be right, we didn't train to do this. This was just something that I was completely led by my heart and thought the head will follow. I'll find a way. Nothing's impossible. And, we need to make sure that everything's created and manufactured properly and it's done in the right kind of way. And everything's got to work. Every little bit of jigsaw has got to click together. It's all got to be in the right order for it to come true.
And it's amazing because you are so lovely, but I can 100% see this ruthless woman. And you have
Can we swap ruthless with determined?
Determined. we can swap it with whatever you like. There is a side to you that I would not like to be on the wrong side of.
I'm a Gemini.
You're a Gemini.
You're sensing it. Yeah, definitely two sides of the coin.
When you were at that stage, what is the industry like? Because it's not something that I would ever have been exposed to.
Yeah. It was strange, I think, because I worked in the bear shops. Obviously, I used to visit the trade shows and go buy for the shops. So I did come across what turned out to be a lot of my competitors later on in life. And again, I sat there and I thought, right, so I visited the trade shows. I've been around. I bought from all of these various different companies and lovely to deal with. But I always had lots of little things. I know you refer to them as icks. One of my icks is when things are packed badly. Can't stand it. It drives me insane. I just, the little bear sort of turned up sideways or it was stuck like that. Or, it should be carefully placed and brushed. So all the little things that used to irritate me about anything from ordering through to paying the invoice, through to getting delivery of the bears, through to the customer service at the end of it. Every company had different levels of what they did. And I think you have your own standards, don't you? And I thought, right, everything that they do wrong, in my eyes, only in my eyes, I'm going to put right. So it kind of set me up on this. I set myself this sort of what I called a gold standard. The one thing I did notice at the time, it was very male dominated. And it wasn't until afterwards that I started looking up when I was trying to find out how to start my own bear company. I was sort of going around and every sort of factory I was looking at or the bear company, I would say, where do you get your bears made? Who does this? Who's the CEO of the company? They're all men. And I just thought, isn't this weird? It's why?
Why? Yeah, why?
Why? You get individual bear artists that have their own little way of working, and you will go to bear fairs and lots of, but like I said, bear artists are female. Do you get male ones too? And, the skill set of these people is just astronomical, but never kind of got from that level up into trying to open up a big company and do that. Yeah, it was strange. I could never understand it. And I always remember, being sort of surrounded by it years later at a trade show myself where I hate to say the word bullied, I wasn't bullied. I think I was placed at a certain level,
Right, okay.
And it was like, listen, I think your work's brilliant, but when it fails, you can come and have a job with me. Comments
really?
like that. And I used to think,
so I was going to ask, was it like chauvinistic?
I think it can be. It could be. And I think, but I suppose it's like anything, in business.
Mm-hmm.
If you're bloody good at business, it doesn't matter whether you're male or female. I was a little bit shocked by that. And I suppose that's where the determined Charlie comes out. And it was really quite funny, I think, after a few years of seeing me at the trade stand and sort of walking past and looking at me, all of a sudden it became a nod. And then it became a respect thing. And then it became, and I used to say things like they'd walk past and I'd go, hi. And he'd go, oh, hello. And I'd go, I'm still here. And that was all I needed to ever say, I'm still here.
I love a good sticking it to them story. Do you know what I mean? Like, really sort of...
stick it to them stories, yeah, over the years. Yeah, and it's surprising, isn't it, that we're even talking about this in this day and age. It's just, it did happen.
This wasn't that long ago, was it?
No, absolutely not. No, it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nothing in the whole scheme of things.
No, absolutely not.
But I think it's always been...
What was the next step then?
So the next step was, right, so we've got a product we like. We've got our first collection. There was 12 bears. And at the time, I was extremely proud of that. 12 bears. And we started the business. So we sold the house, we sold the cars. moved into rented accommodation. I had a dressing table and a dodgy old laptop and 12 bears. And I said to Will, right, that's it. I'm starting. That's it. I'm going to start work. And Will was like, okay, that's fine. We sat there. We literally had paid rent for a year up front. I'd managed to go in and negotiate 10 months for the 12, so that was fine. He was proud of me for that. Yeah, my first business negotiation. And found a place that was slightly big enough for us. And then he just said to me, right, well, this is it now. You've got a year. Right, where do I start? So I literally just sat on the phone and rang every single store I could think of that might possibly want to buy a bear. Managed to get some retailers on board. Started quite slowly, did a couple of trade shows. Had a little run down beat Pole Mini and an IKEA shelf. I was fine. I was set to go. That's what I was doing. There was no airs and graces. You know, we went in bare doll, so to speak. Pardon the pun. You know, there was no fancy lighting or, you know, props on the stand or anything like that. It's a completely boring trade stand, but it's all we could afford at the time, and that was it. You know, bare basics, and that's how I still refer to it. Bare basics. I let the product doing the talking, not how it was. I presented it in the very best way that I could with what money we had, and that was it. And anyway, one day I thought, do you know what? I was watching QVC and saw a bear brand on there, and I thought, oh, we could go on QVC. And I thought, that'd be interesting. So I thought, I'll place a phone call. I remember ringing the first time, and they said to me, oh, you need the name of the buyer. And I said, look, they've just rung me, and I've absolutely forgotten who it was. It was a lady. She was lovely. And I went, I'll pop you through. I still to this day can't believe they put me through. But anyway, that was great. And I remember speaking to the buyer at the time, and I said to her, look, I know you do bears, but you don't do bears like our bears. And I said, I really, 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 really want to come down and meet with you. I said, it'd be really good. My husband's fabulous, and he'd be really happy to present all the shows. Because I thought, oh, he'll do it. I'll speak to him later. I'll bribe him. If it means that we can get on TV, that'd be great. And she said, oh, you know, we don't really... No. I said, look, I promise I will never darken your door again. I said, but just meet me. Just give me 5 minutes of your time, and we will come down and introduce you to the bears. So I remember I was agreeing to it. It was the following week. And this was like a really big major turning point for us, because I remember Will coming home and I said, can you take some holiday next week? I need you to go to London. And he was like, what for? I said, I'll tell you when we get there. And he kept saying, what is this? What is this? And then I eventually fessed up and said, right, I've just run QVC, the shopping channel, and we've got a meeting with them. And depending on how this is going to go, you know, we might be able to go on the TV and do that. He goes, oh, it's not going to. I said, listen, let's give it a go. So anyway, we did. Will came with me, and we showed them the bears. They absolutely fell in love with them. Couldn't believe how fabulous they were, and offered us a 1 hour slot on a show in September. At this point, it was August, and I'm thinking, oh gosh. And I said to Will, right, you're going to have to take some time off work. We've got our air day, our first show. Really, really, really did not know what to expect. I remember sitting there about 10 minutes before the show thinking, I'm going to throw up. I never wanted to be on the TV. You Will was all right because he's so confident, but I'm just like, oh, I always thought I designed this really lovely iconic logo so that I could hide behind it. It was all about the bears. It was never about me. It was about the bears. And here I am sat in the London studio thinking, oh my God, we'll go live to God knows how many million people in 10 minutes. I was so scared. I remember them counting down from 5 to 1, and we were off. I just felt like somebody had just stuck a sponge in my mouth. I couldn't speak. I kept looking at Will, and Will was doing all the talking for me. I was the bear expert, and Will's doing all the talking because I couldn't talk. And then after about 10 minutes into the hour, I thought, right, now I've got to justify being sat here. Determined Charlie came out again. And we started talking, and about 45, 50 minutes into the show, we started realising that things were selling out. And we were like, oh, crikey. Ooh. And it got to the end of the hour, and we had a complete sellout show. And as soon as we finished, they were like, right, when can you come back? And I was like, oh, I haven't got any more bears at the minute, but because I'd sold everything. These were the last of the bears that we had. So yeah, and that was kind of like, the rest was history with that, really. That was the turning point. We created more collections, more bears, and, you know, just started going from strength to strength. Just from you being a bit ballsy, to be perfectly honest, didn't it? Not taking no for an answer. No, and like I say, that word doesn't exist. So yeah, there's a saying that I think Stephen Bartlett, the Diary of a CEO podcast host,
said that you're always only one email away from making your dream, because that's how close it is now. And all it takes is
Just imagine
just
all of those
doing it.
people. It's like Will always used to say this to me whenever I sort of had a bit of a quaver. He said, just imagine how many people are in the graveyard that they've just been brave enough to paint that picture or write that book. How many people are there? And he said, what have you got to lose?
And what makes you different is that you are the 1% that did it, not the 99% that thought about doing it.
Life's too short. You know, if you don't follow your heart, we're only all here once. It's not a dress rehearsal. Yeah, no matter what life throws at you, if you have that dogged determination to do something, and like I say, you're passionate about it, you're going to succeed.
Do you ever have a day off?
From what? My hobby? Why would I? One of the things I love most in the world, my bears. No, I am now their constant companion.
Do you still have anything from the first range?
Well, I have a whole gallery. So at work, obviously, we fast forwarding quite a few years, QVC went really, really well. We got loads more stockists on board. We were starting to now pique interest outside of Britain. So we started getting European stockists, Australian stockists, American stockists. And I thought, you know what, I've got all of these bear designs. You know, my portfolio is growing. Kept one of every single bear. Snappy boxes, I call them P.O. bear boxes. We're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You know, I was actually needing room now for bears that had retired. And I thought, well, I can't sell these, can't make these anymore. They're older now, what do I do? So I had bought a warehouse down here in Cornwall. And we said, right, well, I'm just going to have one whole warehouse that's full of my archives, so to speak, bears that no longer exist. Once they're retired, that's it. They've gone, they're collectible. We don't mass produce. I can't go back and do that bear again because we don't do that. Yeah, this is exactly what we're going to do. And I always remember saying to Phil, what do I do now? We've got like 350 boxes and I've run out of warehouse space. And he says, what are we going to do with this? So we ended up building a bit of a leg onto the building, onto the industrial unit that we've got. And I said, I'm going to have a bear design room. I'm going to put all my bears out. I can just surround myself with it. It's going to be really inspirational. It's going to help me with future designs. And I thought, I'm being a bit selfish. I need to open it up so loads of people can come. There's no little mini tourist attraction around here. Hardly any teddy bear museums. So why don't we start a Charlie Bear one? So that was another new venture that absolutely poured my heart and soul into that and made it kind of look like it is today. It's a bit like Doctor Who TARDIS. It's kind of have that police box on the outside. So it just looks like a regular old industrial unit. Yes, we've stuck some little bits of bear things, paraphernalia outside, but you would never know from looking outside what was inside.
But as soon as you walk through those doors, it begins.
Yeah.
And
it's where the journey starts.
That's exactly it. And the lovely lady who greets you, she was buzzing and full of energy.
They all are. Honestly, the whole staff were so
and
lucky.
You just it just keeps going and going and going.
They are. Everybody that, of course, we don't have staff members. We call them bear cubs. They're
bear
all
cubs.
all cuddle trained. They all know all about the bears. Every single one, what they're named, what they're called, how many we've made. You know, every single little minute detail you might want to know about a particular character. They've genned up on. They know all about it. So, of course, the museum helps. The gallery helps. So there's, every single bear that we've ever made to date in that gallery. So they're my bears. You know, that's the way that it kind of works. And it's nice. I don't have a few at home, but I don't have them all at home. I started off with them all at home and then they had to go into boxes because I just looked like a crazy cat lady. And I thought, you know what? I've got to do something different here.
Better smelling.
So, that's it. Now I'm just I've got to put them away because I need the sofa. I need to sit on the sofa. That was that. So, it was kind of like, it was funny, isn't it, how kind of the world goes where we started on QVC, started getting all of these stockists, started going abroad. We got distributors on board. And before we knew it, we were in 40 different countries, all of these different stockists. We have warehouses now out in Australia and also out in America. So we've got sort of 3 versions of what we've got here situated so that, we were then going for world domination, basically. That was it. We wanted to introduce everybody to our magical world of Charlie Bears.
It is.
And, there's so many different collectors out there who all like different bears and all look for different things in different bears. And my promise has always been and remains to this day that I absolutely know what different collectors like in bears and what they want. And I've sort of made an oath that I'm going to create a bear for every kind of collector that's out there. And my job won't be finished until I've done that. So that was sort of the first, 10 years. That's what we were doing. And then, unfortunately, I hit another crossroads again, where health again, completely like a bolt out of the blue. Went to the doctors one day, wasn't feeling very clever. She gave me some antibiotics and I sort of came home, still wasn't feeling very clever. Went back to the doctors and said, look, I really don't feel well. The antibiotics are not working. Feeling terrible. Don't know why. I'm normally like a little dynamo. Don't take no for an answer. Stay up all night. Yes, probably got a little bit of insomnia because I can't leave the bears alone, but there's something wrong. And she sat down and said, look, we'll do some blood tests, find out. So I always remember that was on the Wednesday. And on the Friday, I got a phone call saying I need you to go down to the hospital straight away. Unfortunately, I think you've got ovarian cancer. Oh. And it literally came like a bolt out of the blue. And from not feeling well to actually having to start chemo, biopsies, operations, more chemo, it just went like my whole world again. It's like a roller coaster journey. Do you know what I mean? You hit the lowest that you're ever going to hit, and then you start going up the, you're fine side. Obviously, had the King's Cross fire, lost their career as a ballet dancer, started the Bears, met Will, got
Did
married.
like old feelings sort of come back?
It does. I think
in a sense,
it knocks your confidence again because all of a sudden you feel out of control.
How many beatings can I take?
Yeah, this is it. And you sit there and you just think, crikey. Okay. So like I say, it was year 10. We'd just sort of finished signing events. We do signing tours now where we go around and travel and meet collectors and sign bears. And these are all things that I love doing, Who wouldn't love travelling around the world, meeting people that are just like you? It was great. And like I said, I'm chatty, so I love learning about people and finding about their stories and their journeys and their adventures. And sort of, it's really inspiring as a teddy artist now to look at different people and find different things out about people. And you can't help but absorb all of that and try and create a character that you feel might be relevant for them. So, of course, that was great. Just had the most fabulous time and then was hit with that. And it just threw me completely. But then I thought, right, I can't let this throw me because we've got business now and I've also got a lot of responsibility. I mean, one, who's going to look after Will? Two, Will can't design a bear to save his life. And I need to make sure that he's safe. And I've got to now, the ultimate goal was staying around long enough to make sure that I could get everything put in place should the worst thing happen.
Wow.
And that was probably the one thing that kept me going, was that I had to do this to make sure he was protected. But the other thing that kept me going was the bears. And it sounds, you're a keeper of secrets. They knew every bad night I couldn't sleep. I talked to them, told them how I was feeling after treatment. I was blah, blah, blah. So I didn't have to give it all to Will. I definitely didn't need the services of Macmillan because I had the bears. I was saying, save it. I'm fine. Honestly, I promise you. I was like, I'm going to get through this because they're there. They're my guardians. They're going to help me.
How was Will through that?
So supportive. He was so supportive. He was my strength at that point. And although I was probably walking around in a bit of a daze, it was totally mind over matter. You feel well. I never used the C word. I didn't like it. And everybody I kind of knew had cancer. A lot of people didn't make it, and it was quite a scary word. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to use the C word, but I'm going to say I've got a cold. So I've got a really bad cold, and I just can't shake it. I'm just going to need a little bit more love and attention and care, and I'm going to do this. But I thought, do you know what? It can't happen. This has got to. We haven't done all of this for no reason. We've got to go through this. And
because the reason I asked that is because although it's you're the one with a cold.
Yeah.
For somebody who has dedicated most of their life to protecting you. Yeah. And
he kept that cloak around me.
It must have been so tough for you both.
The one thing I did notice, it was really funny because everybody always used to ask how I was. And I get it because of course I'm the one that's got the cancer. But actually nobody ever asked how Will was. And I was actually quite shocked by that because he was not only having to watch his wife lose weight and go through all this treatment and have ups and, it's a really horrible, horrible thing was the ovarian cancer. I suppose fortunate, unfortunate in that it was at stage 3 when we found it. 1 in 5 survive. The odds were well and truly against me, but I never let that creep in.
Yeah.
And I think it was, like I said, I was more trying to concentrate on making sure that he was okay, because I knew what he was sacrificing for me, and I could see the pain in his face when he found out. I could see he was there every single step of the way,
Yeah.
having to watch me go through that, lose all my hair, lose weight. I was unrecognisable
Really?
for a long time, and you feel it, but he never made me feel like that. And I think this is the thing where I talk about, being supported. He never once, even when I lost all my hair, I was worried about what he would think. And he treated me exactly the same as if I still had my long hair. I still had my eyelashes. I still had my eyebrows. I'd not lost the 4 stone. He looked at me and treated me and spoke to me exactly the same. In fact, I feel you can hear him, probably the tone in my voice change. He kept true to what he knew I needed at that point in time.
Yeah, what a gentleman.
I'm sat there and I'm thinking, right, I can't let this happen. I can't, I can't do that. So yeah, we got busy at that time and said, right, I designed like 5 years in advance. I was literally like, I was trying to well and truly protect him. Where I had loads of ideas, loads of doodles, loads of briefs, loads of, everybody was geared up. Obviously I couldn't hide it. I tried to hide the fact that I was ill, just kind of came off doing QVC, locked myself at home a little bit, found excuses for not going to meetings, joining, FaceTime meetings then, or, doing things like Skype calls, it was then, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I'm like, just every excuse under the sun so we could hide it, until there was a time where we couldn't hide it, and I had to kind of fess up and talk to people about it. And at the time I thought, right, again, there's 2 ways of dealing with this. Do you sit there and become a victim to it and apologise profusely for having one of the hardest, nasty things that lives in this planet? Or do you sit there and do you think, do you know what? I'm not going to apologise. It's not a weakness, it's a strength. Yes, I'm scarred. Yes, I've lost my hair. Yes, I've lost a load of weight. Yes, I'm half the woman I used to be, literally physically.
Yeah.
But, I'm still me. I still got a life. I've still got my husband. I've still got my work. I've got so many things to be grateful for. Supportive family, wonderful husband, great team, around me at work. I've got to just man up. I've got to get my big girl pants on, and I've just got to go out there and deal with it. So I stopped apologising. Didn't, for too long stay off QVC. And I thought, no, you're all going to know what's wrong with me because,
yeah,
it's, if you want me on screen, where's Charlie? I was like, oh my God, how do I get around this? They don't want to see me like this. And then I thought, do you know what? No, I need to just educate people about this, because there are so many women that didn't know about ovarian cancer, weren't sure of the symptoms. It's like one of the worst cancers you can get because you don't have lumps and bumps and things like that, So I thought, you know what, I've got a duty now to go out and make sure that as many people know about ovarian cancer symptoms and things like that, and that it's beatable. You can do this.
It's such a unique mindset. You're always thinking about other people,
I don't know, some people say that's a weakness. I don't. I genuinely care about people.
So how long ago was this?
It was 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I've just had clear and everything's fine, and hopefully I'm touching wood.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm touching wood because, of course, it can come back or come back in another form.
So it's taken 10 years to get...
Is it
called remission?
Yeah, you have to be in remission for so long before you do it. Normally, you have markers where you do 5 years, 10 years. But I've stopped having the blood test now to check tumour markers and things like that. And it's been really, really quite enlightening. And there's still lots of books I need to read, and there's still lots of things I need to do, and there's still lots of bears I need to design. So I'm going nowhere yet. We're just about to celebrate our 20th anniversary next year.
That's incredible.
It's really, really, really good. And it's when we always hit these milestone years that things happen.
So what's coming up in this next adventure?
Loads of new characters. It used to just be bears, and then we started introducing more characters like pandas and dogs and puppies and kittens and elephants and monkeys and all sorts of things. And I've just started this new, hopefully it's going to go viral, called Monsterology. So we do lots of things that are folklore, fable, myths, legends. I'm just sort of, homing in on the J.K. Rowling, the Lewis
I loved
Carroll.
the fable when I was young. Loved the fable.
Just love it. So, we're really doing lots of things where we're making up our own little creatures, our own little characters. I think I continue to live my life in whimsy. I'm still walking around in my own little whimsical world, which is my favourite place to be, surrounding myself with objects and people that make me feel like that daily, so that it carries on inspiring and carries on doing stuff. And yeah, we're still expanding. We've got new projects. We've got lots of exciting things happening next year that I'm really, really giddy about. I'm hoping it's going to be my perfect fairy tale year.
I am so excited. You just have such a positive aura, such a lovely air about you.
That's really kind. But I truly love doing what I love. And until I hit my next crossroads, or until I'm dealt my next set of cards, I'm going to enjoy it.
I really do feel privileged to have been able to sit opposite you.
Do you know what? I can't thank you enough, because I know this is a first for you, and I actually feel really humbled and quite honoured that you've chosen me. Thank you for helping me tell my story.
So there we have it, everyone. What an amazing episode. What a truly inspiring story. Thank you so much, Charlie, again for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I cannot thank you enough. If you are new to this podcast, you can listen to more stories on all of my socials. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, or whatever form you are listening to this on now. There is more, and there is plenty more to come. So thank you ever so much for listening. Cheers.